Welcome to another edition of Believers Talk with Joe and Steve. I'm Joe.
I'm Steve.
And we're going to be here talking to you today about free agency, right? Free agency. We're going to talk on the AFC side because free agency is going nuts right now, so it'd be hard to wrap it all into one video. But we're starting the AFC side. We're going to go down division by division, team by team, and just note some of the big signings so far. If breaking news comes, we'll break it to you as well while we're on the show. So we're going to start in the AFC East, the Bills division.
Yeah.
So I don't know who we want to start with. So we can start with the Dolphins.
Yep.
All right.
Because mostly everybody's seen our Bills previously.
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly.
know what's happening there. With the Dolphins, now beginning of the new year here, they released Lawrence Timmons and tight end Julius Thomas.
Right.
And the big name, Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
So those guys are out there. That's one of their big moves. They also signed 2 wide receivers, Albert Wilson and Danny Amendola of the Patriots.
Right.
So that gets rid of one of their weapons in New England. They re-signed their safety Walt Aikens.
Okay.
And then the Jets kind of did a stunner yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a surprise, but
they're signing 2 quarterbacks, Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater.
Right. Both the 1-year deals, though.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how that works out.
And they also have Bryce Petty, Hackenberg. So I don't think it takes them away from the quarterback situation, the drafting one, but it's just very weird unless they're trying to trade Petty or Hackenberg.
Yeah, what does that tell you about Petty and Hackenberg? They're just sitting back there and they signed 2 more guys. I don't know, but
they also signed cornerback Jermaine Johnson, which he got a 5-year deal with them. Really standout corner for the Rams the past few years.
Right. They franchise tagged him in years previous, right?
Yeah. So
past couple of years.
So he's made out on that. Now he finally gets his big deal.
Right.
They also signed linebacker Avery Williamson.
Okay.
So he was a guy who I thought maybe the Bills would have some interest in, but he went to the Jets. They signed running back of Isaiah Crowell, which they needed somebody.
Yeah, he's been there before, and
he came from Cleveland, and Cleveland obviously moved on from him.
Right.
But then we'll get to the Patriots here.
Yeah, the hated Patriots, but that's okay.
They haven't done too much. They lost some guys.
Lost a lot of guys, so far.
That's what happens when you're good.
Yeah.
But they did re-sign running backs Rex Burkhead and Brandon Bolden.
Okay.
And then they also re-signed their safety Nate Ellerby.
Okay. So. They've lost a few players, and we'll get through their names too with teams that they signed with. But I did hear, if you don't know, the Packers released Jordan Nelson. I heard that they might be interested in him. So just typical Patriots, come get the guy, and now we'll be great again.
Especially the one at the end of their career or something.
Yeah.
Get a ring and move on.
That's right.
Them too.
That's right. Okay, so moving on to the AFC North.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
The most active team probably in free agency and trades and everything would be the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. And we've benefited from that, so that's good.
So they have $100 million in cap space, so they can make all these moves. We did touch base earlier on the Jarvis Landry trade, so they do get Landry. The big news today is Joe Thomas is retiring.
Yeah. That great career too, Joe Thomas. That was amazing.
But they did sign 2 tackles, Chris Hubbard and Donald Stevenson.
Okay.
So they're both more or less right tackles.
Okay.
So maybe one of those gets switched to left tackle.
Sure.
They have to work on that. One of my favorite signings is they signed Carlos Hyde.
Right.
They got him for like a 3-year, $15 million deal. I like Hyde. I think he's going to be pretty good. And with that offense there, that could really benefit them, especially with a rookie quarterback because he can catch the ball and he can run the ball. So that's a nice signing for them.
Well, they'll have Tyrod starting probably week 1, don't you think? Yeah. So, but still, it will help.
Running a read option with Tyrod then.
Absolutely.
Hyde's used to that.
Absolutely.
He did it in San Francisco when Chip Kelly was there. So I like Hyde. He was one of him and Jarrett McKinnon are my 2 favorite running backs in the free agency. So and they both got nice deals.
Yeah.
Surprise Hyde only got about $5 million, but that's probably a top end of a running back anyway. The way the market is for him.
Right.
They also signed a tight end, Darren Fells. He's mostly a blocking tight end. He can still catch the ball. They signed cornerback Terrence Mitchell.
Okay.
And they're still signing guys. They signed
it keeps going.
A safety from Oakland, T.J. Carey, and they signed Chris Smith
Okay, so that's the Browns.
Yeah, that's
they had probably about 10 to 15 signings, and obviously that does not include the Tyrod trade and things like that. I mean, they've been very active so far. So we'll see what happens with them moving on now that the league year officially has started. So moving on to another team, we got the Bengals. Not doing too much on their end.
Yeah, they just signed Bobby Hart, a tackle from he was formerly of the Giants.
Okay.
They are in talks with trading Vontae Perfect to the Raiders, so that's something we'll have to watch
Look out for. Yeah.
They also did trade for Cordy Glenn from us. So that's
right.
That was their move.
Right.
They need offensive line help. And
Now we're moving on to the Ravens.
Yep. They re-signed James Hurst, offensive lineman. They signed Ryan Grant, wide receiver from Washington, former Redskins. And they also did sign another receiver, John Brown. So that's our fast guy, John Brown.
Okay.
He got a 1-year, $5 million deal. I thought the Bills would be in on him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it got a little out of hand or what. I mean, $5 million I wouldn't think was bad.
Right.
Or maybe they were trying to get a long-term deal and he just wanted to
short-term
hit the market again next year when he can show what he can do because he was banged up last year.
Right.
But Baltimore also did release a bunch of players. Ladarius Webb, their cornerback / safety. Danny Woodhead, their running back. Austin Howard, their offensive tackle. And the guy who they signed away from us last year, wide receiver Jeremy Maclin. So maybe that's an interest in Buffalo.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not sure if I was a fan of Jeremy Maclin back then, and I feel like he's more of a slot guy anyway. So
yeah, I mean, for me, he would be that speed guy that we need.
Okay.
And with his relationship with McCoy.
Yeah, McCoy will leave.
Yeah,
plug him hard.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see.
We do need a speed guy at receiver. I think we both agree with that, but I am fine with how the receivers core is. Like I said, it would just be nice to have a speed guy. That's why I was looking for John Brown. But.
Right. Yeah, and par for the course with Rooney's in charge. The Steelers haven't done anything.
Yeah.
The Steelers really haven't done anything, but that's nothing. If you're a Steelers fan, you know that's nothing new. They're just kind of quiet. Yeah,
they did release safety Mike Mitchell, but other than that, they haven't done any signings notable or anything like that.
So now we'll move on to the AFC South, and we can start with the Colts because they haven't really done too much either. So it'll be quick.
They signed defensive end Danico Autry. That's basically it. They need help at just about every position.
Yeah, so much help. It's very interesting to see that they're not doing more.
Just a little tidbit, because we're talking about the Colts, I believe that's our trade partner.
Okay.
So I believe the third pick is where
which is where
maybe they're trying to fill in some holes via the draft. So maybe that's what they're waiting on or later round.
So we'll go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we got another retirement.
Yep.
So Paul Posluszny retired, ex-Buffalo Bill as well. But so he retired. I don't know if you want to talk more about him.
Yeah, I always liked Paz. I met him a couple times, and he said he would have stayed in Buffalo if at the time Marv Levy was still the general manager when his contract was up. Him and Marv were talking. They were going to do an extension, but Marv moved on, and they came in, and I believe it was Buddy Nix at the time, and they just wanted to go a different route. So it is what it is, but always respected Paz. I liked him.
Yeah.
So
he led the league in tackles a few years too. I mean, at least I know he led the Jaguars in tackles. But yeah, he was a good linebacker. Came from PSU, so not too far from us, but linebacker U. So
the Jags also signed Andrew Norwell. He got a massive 5-year, $66.5 million contract. So he's the highest paid guard
now,
coming from Carolina.
Yeah.
They re-signed their wide receiver Marquise Lee for a 4-year, $38 million, which I don't think that's really too bad for him.
No, not at all.
He was a little banged up last year.
Especially since they couldn't sign Robinson, you kind of want to keep Lee there. So.
And Robinson's deal, we'll get to that on the NFC side, but I really would have thought that they would have been able to sign him, especially when you're looking down here. And the next player they sign is wide receiver Dante Moncrief.
Yeah.
And they signed him to a 1-year, $10 million deal.
Which is crazy. That's a lot of money. Is that all guaranteed? That's all guaranteed.
I believe around $7 million of it is his base salary, and then he can earn up to $10 million.
Okay.
But with the incentives, it looks like he'll make $10 million.
Okay. Yeah.
He's more of a speed guy.
Yeah.
Than Allen Robinson would be, but
he's been around. I mean, he's not young anymore or anything like that. So that's probably why it's a 1-year deal. But yeah, that's not a name that you hear as far as great receivers in the league. Dante Moncrief. But they got him. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's coming from the Colts, so he has some down years due to the fact of no quarterback play.
Right.
He's trying to have a nice year this year and then hit the market again next year.
Yeah.
But they also signed defensive back DJ Hayden. That's a nice signing for them. I like Hayden, and they're in talks now. It looks like it's getting done. Tight end Niles Paul, which I really like him if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
He's coming from Washington. That's been his problem, just being able to be healthy and stay on the field.
So we'll move on to the Houston Texans, and we'll start with ex-Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, this is one guy I was hoping we kind of be able to re-sign, but Centrell Henderson, tackle. He was our swing tackle. I liked him. He had some problems, but they couldn't hang on to him, and he signed a 1-year, $4 million deal with the Texans, so I kind of see why they didn't re-sign him. I didn't think he would get that much, but, good for him.
Yeah. And when you have the money, go spend it. That's what you kind of got to do, is you got to overspend other teams, and if you think he's worth that, so good for the Texans.
Yeah, and they need offensive line help.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think he can come in and start, and I believe he's better suited at left tackle than right tackle. And a lot of times we used him at right tackle. And with Deion Dawkins, he's not a left tackle for us. So that's why I didn't sign him to any sort of big deal. Like I said, I was hoping for $1 million or $2 million to have the swing tackle, but it is what it is.
So much, So moving on with Houston, we can do that.
Yeah, they stole Jacksonville's one corner, Aaron Colvin. So they signed him. They re-signed their punter, Shane Leckler. And then we can move on to that's it for the Texans, and then we can move on to the Titans. So they got their cornerback, Malcolm Butler. 5 years, $62 million contract.
Yeah, it's so crazy to me that he wasn't playing in the Super Bowl. Like I just can't believe it. And I wish we would know what happened why he wasn't playing, but
yeah, he came out. I heard on the radio. I listened to Sirius and listened to the NFL Network. They were saying, they were talking to him, and he's like, yeah, there's times that different players would be benched at times, whether it was for contract or for just, the performance-based or whatever reason. He said, you were never told, you just were told you're not playing or you're not starting. So maybe it's a little bit of head games in New England.
But. Maybe, but I'm just really surprised by that. I'm sure there's a lot of people still really surprised by that, but yeah, so Malcolm Butler to the Titans. Next is another ex-Patriot. So they signed Deion Lewis to a 4-year, $23 million deal. So again, he was a Patriot, so I didn't like him too much for that, but I was always a good running back,
I liked him when he came out of Pitt. He was with Philly, got injured for a little bit, and then ended up being New England, and, I like his skill set. As far as being able to catch the ball and make some players miss, but I can now say that. Before I couldn't really say that.
Yeah, that's true. And this kind of fills their void because they released DeMarco Murray. Right. So that kind of fills the running back void a little bit for them.
They'll still have their power back in Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry's still there.
Now they can have their scat guy in Lewis. So it's a nice combo there.
Yep. And then they re-signed guard Josh Klein. So they re-signed one of their guards. Like you said, they need offensive line help, so that helps them to re-sign some guys. But that's it for the South. Now we move on to the AFC West. So I don't know if you want to start there.
Probably the big news is the Broncos. They signed quarterback Case Keenum.
Right.
It's a 2-year, $36 million contract, but I believe it voids after 1 year, so it's basically a 1 year, $18 million. I think that's guaranteed. So there's they could still very easily pick up a quarterback in the draft, right? Which is still surprising because unless something changes, they still have Paxton Lynch on their contract, right? He's still a young guy. He might still be on his rookie contract. I'm not sure. But yeah, so anything else going on in Denver? Yeah. So they're with them signing Keenum, they're looking to trade Trevor Siemian. He's the odd man out. Right. And could the Bills have interest in him? I wouldn't mind it if they traded maybe a 7th rounder, 6th or 7th rounder, maybe a future, because we have a 6th rounder now this year with the trade with the Bengals, so maybe that's 6th round or something. I wouldn't give up much for him. No. I'm not too keen on him. He's nothing special. Right. Exactly. Just to have a quarterback. They also picked up the option on Demaryius Thomas, the wide receiver.
Yep.
And they signed cornerback Jermaine Brock, a 1-year, $4 million contract, filling the void that they left there by trading Talib to the Chargers or the Rams.
Rams, yeah. And we'll move on from the Broncos. That's for answer for the Broncos right now to the Chargers. So if you want to,
they're signing tight end Virgil Green, and that gives them kind of a blocking guy. Probably he's athletic enough that he might be able to spell. It looks like trying to think of his name now. Their tight end there,
Antonio Gates.
Yeah, Antonio Gates. He might. He's on the fringe of if he's coming back this year or not. So
yeah, that's the kind of guy I want to bring up. Antonio Gates. He's a free agent this year if he decides to come back. But I feel with him, it's kind of the same deal as with Kyle Williams. If he comes back, it's probably going to be with the Chargers. But you never know. If he feels like he still has something in the tank and the Chargers don't want to give him that deal, he might go somewhere else. You never know. So that's pretty much it for the Chargers. And then we move on to the Chiefs. So,
their big signing was Anthony Hitchens, 5-year, $49 million contract. Another huge signing, which kind of surprised me a little bit. And got probably Bills Mafia up in a uproar a little bit. But they signed Sammy Watkins to a 3-year, $48 million contract. And I believe in the first 2 years or something like that, he can make $34 million of it. So he can make $17 million each for the first 2 years. And then he can almost redo his deal if he has, if he has 2 great years put together. But with Sammy, we know the injury problems. Can he stay on the field? He does have all the talent, but
absolutely.
We'll see. I do like that signing as far as him being there with Patrick Mahomes because Mahomes likes to throw deep. So now you have Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce coming underneath. And you have a nice running back in Kareem Hunt. So that is going to be a pretty nice offense, and they really are helping out Mahomes with that signing, I think.
I like the Sammy Watkins for them at least, that move for them. It just makes sense. Again, we don't feel like Sammy was ever coming back to Buffalo. If you were
the money wasn't there.
We couldn't afford that type of deal for Sammy. So
if he was coming back, we would have picked up that 5th-year option.
Exactly.
Because that would have been much cheaper.
Would have been much cheaper that way. So, but when we out with the Chiefs,
they signed cornerback Davis Emerson. They also re-signed their kicker Ryan Suckup. They released Ron Parker and linebacker Tom Bahali, and then they re-signed their fullback Anthony Sherman and their defensive end Jarvis Jenkins.
All right. And then last but not least, we have those Oakland Raiders, who soon will be the Las Vegas Raiders. But so go ahead and the Raiders side of things.
They released their cornerback Sean Smith and tackle Marshall Newhouse. They re-signed tight end Lee Smith, former Bill, and another tight end Derek Carrier. Lee Smith is just a blocking back. So that's about it. And like we said earlier, they are in talks with the Bengals for Vontae Burfict.
I think with Derek Carr is injury prone. He's proven to be injury prone as well. So getting some good blocking tight ends in their form maybe will help him out a little bit. So.
And then I did miss on this. Jordy Nelson is, I believe, scheduled to be there Thursday visiting. So
so that's another team that Jordy Nelson could go to. So that's what's going on right now. That's a lot of signings within the past 48 hours and things like that. And that's just the AFC side of the ball. So we'll be back for another episode with the NFC side. But until then, if you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe, like or dislike, and leave a comment. And if you haven't subscribed already, and this is a couple videos in and you like the content, please be sure to subscribe as well. We will continue with not just Bills content around the league, both AFC, NFC, and whoever else on this on Believers Talk. So until next time.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.